wait is finally over. The long-awaited re-release of Shin Megami Tensei V is here, for all platforms, and with a brand new story with new characters and demons. I've been playing this game a lot lately, and it is awesome, and definitely a game you should all check out. And to celebrate its release, I decided that I would do something I haven't done in a long time. A lore video where I dive into the mythological origins of various demons and characters in the Megami Tensei series. And for this video, I'm going to be focusing on the new antagonist in Vengeance, the Qadištu demons and their associates. First of all, what are Qadištus and what does the word mean? Well, the word Qadištu itself doesn't have any connection to these demons. It's an Akkadian term that means sacred woman, and is usually used to refer to women of a high status in the ancient Middle East. However, for a while they were commonly misbelieved to be prostitutes, and that the term meant sacred prostitute. While this is no longer believed, this definition does tie somewhat into what these demons represent, and what they all have in common. They all come from Jewish folklore, they're seductresses, and they're all consorts of the fallen angel Samael. And in Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance, there are 4 of them, not counting their god or their other associates. Let's start with Lilith, who should already be familiar to existing SMT fans, because this isn't her first appearance. It's not even her first time appearing with a major story role in the series. Now, when it comes to Lilith's origins and her roles in whatever mythology she's a part of, it's a bit of a subject of controversy. Her name is thought to come from Lilitu or Lilu, which are lesser demons from Mesopotamian mythology, but the most popular depiction of her is in Jewish folklore, where she was the first wife of Adam, before Eve, and was banished from the Garden of Eden for disobeying him, although some accounts say that she voluntarily fled after Adam tried to force her into submission, which is why she's a popular figure among modern feminists. Anyway, after she fled the Garden of Eden, God sent 3 angels to try to bring her back. And when they found her, she was bearing children in a cave. She refused to come back, and because of this, the angels told her that they would kill 100 of her children every day, and she was turned into a demon. After this, she tried to willingly sneak back into the garden, but when she got there, she found out that Adam already had a new partner, Eve, and out of revenge, she mated with Adam in his sleep and began giving birth to succubi known as Lilith. Although this is another aspect of the story that differs between accounts, as another popular account is that instead of trying to come back to the Garden of Eden, as an act of revenge she began consorting with many demons, including Samael, and it was through him that she gave birth to the Lilith. There are several other depictions of Lilith in different religions and mythologies. The earliest known mention of her is in the Epic of Gilgamesh, where she resides in the Halupu tree. In Judaism, her role and canonicity is heavily debated among Jewish scholars. Some people even believe that she originated from the alphabet of Ben Sira, which is a satirical work written sometime between the 8th and 10th centuries, and she's generally not recognized by Christianity in any way. The only translation of the Bible that uses her name at all is the Common English Bible, in Isaiah 34:14. In other translations, her name is replaced with Nightbird or Screech Owl. Now, as far as SMT is concerned, her portrayal seems to be mostly inspired by the story of her being Adam's first wife, as well as a seductress. She appears as an attractive woman with snake-like skin and carries a snake around with her as a pet, likely a nod to the serpent that tempted Adam and Eve, but her designs throughout the series seem to be largely inspired by her depiction in the 1990 horror movie Night Angel, where she's played by German actress Isa Anderson. In Shin Megami Tensei 1, she mistakes the protagonist for Adam, and because of this, she gets jealous of the heroine on multiple occasions throughout the game, and is fought as a boss on both the law and neutral routes. And in Shin Megami Tensei 4, she's the leader of the Ring of Gaia, who takes on the identity of the Black Samurai, and she's responsible for giving the people of Mikado literature that turns them into demons. In most other games, she appears as a mid to high level demon of the night race with strong resistances to magic, and even appears in the original Shin Megami Tensei V, although she doesn't play any kind of story role. In Vengeance, she sports a new design that seems to be Doi's unique take on the original Kaneko design. Here, she's the leader of the Qadištus, and the most powerful of them. She's also the last one that's fought, and the only one not fought alone. She's fought alongside the other 3 Qadištus, and she can summon them and bring them back during battle. She can also be summoned along with the other Qadištus in the fight against Samael, although this boss battle is optional. Her and the rest of the Qadištu's ultimate goal is to wreak havoc so they can gather Magatsuhi to resurrect Tiamat, the goddess of primordial chaos, another demon that we've seen before, though not in this form. Now, as for the other Qadištus, well, they all have their own unique designs, personalities, and quirks, but they all have the same goal: gather Magatsuhi so they can resurrect Tiamat. The first one that you encounter in the game is Nama, who is the most, let's say, upfront when it comes to representing the lore that inspired her. And she's the only one that's fought more than once, not counting during the Lilith and Samael fights. And she's also the one with the most known lore besides Lilith. Nama is mentioned several times in the Bible, and the one most people are familiar with is the one that's mentioned in Genesis. Nama was the wife of Noah and a descendant of Cain. Her name in Hebrew means pleasant, and is actually a common female name today in Israel. However, this has led to controversy over what her role actually is. According to some, she was called this because she was pleasant in everything she did, but other accounts say that she would use her beauty to lead people into idolatry. In fact, some even say that she was so beautiful that she was one of the humans in Genesis 6 that caused the angels to come down from heaven and consort with humans, giving birth to the Nephilim, a race of giants that were born as a result of humans mating with fallen angels. Most of what we know about Nama as a demon comes from the Zohar, which is a commentary on the mystical aspects of the Jewish Torah. It states that she was a companion of Lilith who partakes in many of the same sinful acts that Lilith did, and like her, consorted with many demons and gave birth to many more, although it's hard to say whether or not this is the same Nama that's mentioned in Genesis. The next of the Qadištus is Asheth Zinunim, and this is the one that's the least known. She's one of the 4 angels of prostitution, one of the 4 mates of Samael, and she also comes from the Zohar as the feminine personification of sin. In fact, her name in Hebrew literally means woman of whoredom, but there aren't a lot of stories or depictions of her to go off of. She's also closely associated with the Qlipthoth, the dark counterpart of the Tree of Life, the Tree of Death, and commonly said to be a princess of it. Her design seems to be more eldritch and horror-themed than the rest of the Qadištus. In fact, Doi himself said that designing her was difficult due to how little is known about her, so he had to get very creative, and he definitely did. Now, one of the biggest changes to the story in Vengeance is that, with Lamu being dealt with much earlier, he and Sahori aren't responsible for the random disappearances of students at Joen High School. Now, Asheth is responsible for this. She's also much more brutal than Lamu and the other Qadištus. She'll ask students what part of themselves they hate the most, and then help them by cutting said part off and eating it. She also kidnaps Miyazu and holds her hostage, forcing Yuzuru to fight against the protagonist. And after the protagonist beats her, the only reason she doesn't kill her is because she gets stopped by Agrat, which brings us to our next demon. Agrat, fully known as Agrat Bat Malat, isn't super well known like Lilith, but more is known about her than Asheth, and she's generally seen as more of a rival than a companion to Lilith. Her name means daughter of Malat. Malat was the Canaanite wife of Esau from the Bible and granddaughter of the Egyptian sorcerer Qadištu. When in the desert, before meeting Esau, she mated with a demon named Igrathiel, and that is how Agrat was conceived. She's also seen as sort of an authoritative figure who teaches witchcraft and procures other succubi, and has command of over 180,000 demons in 18 legions. And also, much like her companions, she has also mated with several demons, but also in the Zohar is said to have mated with King David, and through him, given birth to the demon Asmodeus. She's believed to be the most powerful on Wednesday and Saturday nights, and men are advised by rabbis not to be alone in those nights for this reason. Her design definitely seems to take inspiration from the fact that she's a teacher of witchcraft, and she definitely stands out from the rest of the Qadištus. For one thing, she's the only one of them that wears clothes, but also speaks and acts much more calmly than the rest of them. But that doesn't make her any more merciful than the rest of them. In Vengeance, she's responsible for a plague that spreads throughout Tokyo, one that's not supposed to kill its victims outright, but be as painful as possible, and arguably, she's the one of the group that's the most effective in gathering Magatsuhi. And by the time the player confronts her, they already have enough. And in the area leading up to the fight with her, she surrounds the area with a black fog and will chase the player around with a spiritual projection of herself. But what about their god, the one they're trying to awaken, Tiamat? Well, much like a Lilith, Vengeance isn't the first MegaTen game where she's appeared, not even the first one where she's played a major role. Tiamat is another figure from Mesopotamian mythology, the wife of the god Apsu, mother of the gods, and primordial goddess of the sea, who comes from the Babylonian creation epic Enuma Elish. And she's sometimes considered to be the Babylonian counterpart to the Sumerian mother goddess Namu, and is known to be depicted as a human-like figure with an appearance similar to that of a sea serpent or a dragon. In both Megami Tensei 2 and Shin Megami Tensei 2, she appears as a major boss that's necessary to be defeated in order to beat the game. But her first major story role is in Soul Hackers 1, where she's one of 2 demons that can be defeated by Naomi during her vision quest, so that the Phantom Society has enough room to install Manitou in that area. Then there's Strange Journey, where she's the second of the 4 mothers of the Schwarzwell and is fought as the main boss of Sector Fornax. In Vengeance, she's a goddess of primordial chaos that ruled the world before the throne even existed. There was no order, it was nothing but chaos. But once Tiamat was slain by the bull god Marduk and the throne did come into the picture, that all changed. And the state of chaos and disorder is what the Qadištu are trying to bring back by reviving her. As a bonus, I'm going to include a bit about Samael, because even though he doesn't play a huge role in Vengeance, in fact he doesn't even have a new design, he's still one of my favorite demons, and given his association with the Qadištu, I feel like I have to include a bit about him. Samael is an angel from the Talmud who is portrayed as a seducer, accuser, and angel of death, not unlike Satan. His name means poison of God, which has led to confusion over what his role actually is. Is he a demon, or a fallen angel, or is he an angel that acts as the vengeful hand of God? He has a wide range of depictions, some as one of God's archangels, and others as a demon that tempts and seduces humans. I already mentioned that he's depicted as the consort of all the Qadištus and father of many demons, but according to some, he's also responsible for planting the tree of knowledge and is the serpent that tempted Adam and Eve. You'll be able to find many stories and works of art that depict him in both of these roles, and this seems to be how he's treated by SMT as well, with him finding himself being a member of the Fallen race, which is chaos in most games, but also sometimes being in the Vile race, which is law. In Vengeance, however, he's a member of the Drake race, and is fought as an optional boss toward the end of the game. Mastema sends the protagonist to kill him, and when confronted, he calls himself the Serpent King. And while he's not against the protagonist's plans to take the throne, he does accuse you of following the Bull God, and there's also the fact that Mastema told you to fight him, so you do have to fight him. So yeah, there's some lore on the new antagonist of SMTV Vengeance. I haven't done any lore videos in a while, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. And as always, be sure to check out my links in the description, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, I will see you all later.